Thank you to Dennis and Teresa and Galveston Art Center. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be showing here. So my work is generally about kind of personal things, what happens to be going on in my life at the moment. I've made work about being an introvert, hypochondria, coming of age. And with this particular work, I decided to focus on the idea of memory, specifically core memories, like those little snippets of time that stick into your mind for whatever reason. And it's hard to think about like at the moment, like why those specific times are important or why they would stick in your mind. And so I've been thinking about like why specific memories would stick. And I thought of a couple reasons. Photography and memory are kind of inherently linked. If you see a picture of something you did as a child, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that, but really you just kind of remember seeing the picture of it. There's also the idea of like scent and memory being linked together. So like anytime I smell like that delightful odor of like popcorn and like feet, it's like a skating rink and they all smell exactly the same. And then with this project specifically, I'm playing with the idea of emotion and memory being linked together. And that's kind of like a evolutionary thing, right? Like we have these memories and they kind of guide us through what's happening now. It's part of fight or flight. It's part of helping you make decisions like in your current situation. And so with this show, there's kind of a lot of like themes of memories that kind of reoccur again and again. If you look at the titles, there's a lot of like regret and shame, but there's also like joy and this like feeling of being loved. And when we think about memory, the idea of forgetting is also important. Like forgetting helps us like organize our thoughts. It helps us like be able to like see the forest through the trees, right? So there's also the idea of like a real memory, and that is a memory that is like linked to an actual thing that happened. And those change over time. Like we apply like our general knowledge or the situation that we're in when we like recall the memory, and those times when we recall memories over and over, they change like the memory over time to the point where like it can become a completely like false memory. For example, there's this picture of the Care Bear sleeping bag over here, and the story behind that is when I was a kid, my mom and my dad and my little sister would take like I grew up in Dallas. We took road trips up to Colorado in the family van. And one time we were in the woods in Colorado and the van and a bicycle collided and this guy on the bike got hurt. And so we pulled over and my parents pulled my sleeping bag out of the trunk to like lay down so this guy could lay on it. And as a kid, I'm like, oh my gosh, this danger's getting his blood all over my sleeping bag. And so it very much stuck in my head. And so I titled that The Time My Parents Might Have Killed Somebody. And so in hanging up the show, I called my mom and, to make sure she was okay with that title. And she was, but she was like, what's that memory about? And so I told her the story that I just told to y'all. And she was like, I have no recollection of that. And she has a good memory. And so I was like, well, that's strange. And my dad has passed. My sister's younger than me. And so they aren't around to remember either. So there's no way to tell if this thing actually happened or not. And so I was like, well, maybe we like came across somebody that was hurt. And she was like, no, I don't think that happened either. So I don't know about the Care Bear memory, but it's very vivid in my mind. Okay, so when I started putting this work together, it started with the idea of place. And this pasta salad one is the first one that happened. And I was thinking of the idea of specific places containing memories. And this one took place at a park. And I'm a studio photographer at heart. Like I don't like going to places. And so I switched to shooting in the studio. And the place wound up becoming the background of the photo. And so this one has this picnic table to imply that we were at this park. The titles are related to it. They're purposefully ambiguous so that the viewer isn't going to get the exact memory that I have, but they can maybe think about what their memory is or how those memories tie together. And when I got asked to show here, it was such a cool opportunity because I could think about different ways to install the work. I've hung it in group shows before as like little clouds. And Galveston Art Center was great enough to give me this space. And so I was able to do this kind of timeline, which I was really excited about. Generally, they're in the order that I remembered them, starting with this pasta salad, working the way around. Not all the way like that. And then generally the top row is the more negative memories and the bottom row is the more positive memories. And so one really great thing about this is just the ability to kind of reminisce about memories. It's like sharing a piece of yourself. And so I hope when you guys go around, you think about like what your memories would be for that specific title or how the images might relate to that. Mostly uncomfortable. No. when I've shown this work in the past, it's, you know, always the question is like, oh, what's that one about? And like some of them I'm super like willing to talk about, and some of them I'm not. And so I just feel very nervous about like, oh, I wonder what people are going to ask me. And it's, you know, it's all super personal work, and so it's, you know, hard putting that out there, I guess. So, mostly awkward, I guess. Yeah, they're all shot with a 4x5 film camera, and then I scanned the film and printed them digitally myself. Yeah. No, I mean it's a good idea. It sounds like something my friend Davis has suggested. I like stuff on walls, but I think of all the stuff I've made, this kind of makes sense as a book because it needs a little bit, maybe a little bit more text with it. I haven't, but it's not an impossibility. So the pasta one was shot in 2023, and the newest ones were shot like a month ago. So over the course of 3 years. That was actually Dennis's idea. Thank you very much. Yeah, Dennis suggested that, and I really liked the variety. I toyed with that versus like printing them how big the importance of the memory was. But I like that they make them feel more like the specific object. Plus, it just adds variety in the line, which I like also. No, because I have like this is kind of true of all of my photographic work. I set up like a set of rules for myself, and then I like follow those rules. So these were always like object on background, and both the object and the background like allude to the memory itself. And so I don't know that there was a ton of like freedom that I gave myself to convey the good versus bad. They're meant to be more conveyed with the titles than the images themselves.